So our next guest is like a true giant builder. She was raised in a village in Africa and built herself up to be a tremendous coach and impacting people around the world. So let's learn a little bit more about Jabu.
Building spirituality, family, health, and business. This is The Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.
Hey, Giant Builders, welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday. Don't forget to like our social media because it helps us reach more people. And I like to see your comments. So, today's guest is Jabu Msomi. Hi, Jabu, how are you?
Hi, Louis. I'm very well, thank you. And how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. It's a great day. So, can you tell our listeners, please, a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me. And yeah, greet everybody. I know later people will be watching. It's a pleasure. So I am a life coach and NLP practitioner. I also do some public speaking as a speaking professional around purpose, around self-fulfillment and overcoming adversities. I am from Durban, South Africa, a mother, and I'm very passionate about people and life. And the reason I do what I do is because, firstly, I'm the coach that I wish I had when I was a young girl growing in the village. As much as I was surrounded by love and light and warmth in my grandmother's home, but later in my career, I realized that for any person to thrive, you do need somebody that can help and support you. So, in a nutshell, that's who I am. And once more, I'm very glad to meet you and to be here.
Thank you. How many children do you have?
I do have one daughter. She is 22 years old, so she's a
Oh,
big girl already.
okay, that's
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah,
Well,
she's in university. Yeah.
oh, what a blessing. That is wonderful.
Thank you.
So,
Thanks.
what kind of moments would you say actually shaped your life?
Really like that question, and I feel like I get it a lot. Firstly, I grew up like in a village in the west of Durban in South Africa. And growing up as a young African girl in a village, there is a lot that surrounds you. The environment, firstly, you've got to learn very quickly to mature. You've got to learn very quickly to be independent. But there is always those stigmas surrounded by the fact that you're a girl, you're a woman, and you can't do certain things, or you cannot, or certain things are only for certain people. So for me, I would say it's the culture. It was nurturing, but also it had its own limitations. Secondly, I got married at 20. And again, being a young bride, there were some challenges again, like relationships with the spouse, for an example, as we were navigating this beautiful thing. But also, again, the culture, especially the African Zulu culture, because I am Zulu, it remains a hindrance in the growth and a development of a woman. There has been some improvements, but I found myself being stuck. And because have always been this ambitious person, I kept on pushing and pushing. But that what shaped my life, because the very same adversities and challenges actually made me to understand that no, I cannot accept the status quo. There's more that life has to offer. And what has shaped me also is obviously the different industries that I've found myself working in. I spent quite some time in higher education, like universities in South Africa. I spent some time in global corporate companies, and that also has shaped me and actually opened my mind in as far as understanding myself, growing, but also working with people, diverse people, and different personalities.
I see you as a very strong woman to work your way from all of that in like your village surroundings to university and all that you've done. Congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I carry it with me wherever I go because being born in a village, it's not a bad thing. I always say I take pride wherever I go. I do say that I am from Bodasio. I've been able to take Bodasio with me wherever I go, and I have this story to share.
What gave you the courage to be this strong in as a child or as you're growing up into a teenage? Teenage years are hard anyway. What gave you the strength to keep enduring and bring you up to where you are now?
Okay, that is again a question that I get all the time. But firstly, again, would be okay, when I grew up, especially when I went to school, okay, let me start from family. I was surrounded by a very loving and supportive family. So my grandmother, again, I will allude to her because when my mom gave birth to me, she was a teenager and it was a very bad thing in the community. So I was growing alongside my grandmother, but both my grandmother, my grandfather, my mom, and my uncles, which were my mom's brothers, they nurtured me with so much love and care, and they believed in me more than anything. So I took that out wherever I go with me. And the values that actually I carried from home, they were quite very strong. You respect people, but you respect yourself more than anything, and you carry yourself in a certain manner, and it goes a long way. So that shaped me. I moved into schools where I found myself being a top student and working hard, but also working, I'll say, diligently and being very focused because it is as if I had always known that one day I want to be something beyond even where my mom was. My grandmother was, and my grandmother was illiterate, but I had always known that no, there's so much more than that. Yes, teachers believed in me, but more than anything, I've always believed in myself. And I feel like that has actually carried me. Even when I felt like falling apart, I'd be like, I have a mantra, one of the mantras or the affirmations that tomorrow is another day. So we wake up and try again tomorrow.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I do like that. So, what advice do you give to people today that are feeling stuck or unseen, if you will?
Yes, as you would know, as a life coach, most of the clients that come to me, it's because they're stuck, whether in marriage, relationships, work, like career wise. Maybe they're stuck in life. They just don't know how to take the next step. I often say, when you feel like that, it's because the universe, if I may say that, the universe is actually nudging you to say, you need to grow to the next step. But sometimes you cannot do it alone. As in NLP, you end up having this vicious cycle of a thought where you just can't, get the next step, like how to move to the next step. So I would usually say to my clients, go inwards first, take time because life is very busy and it's easier to say, oh, I'm feeling stuck, but then we get maybe distracted by other things and maybe other relationships and engagements. Take time to go inwards, but also be intentional about your growth and be intentional about stepping out of this feeling stuck zone, if I may say so.
Oh, that's good. So, I noticed that you are known as You Mom Coach and the Queen of Queens. What inspired those titles?
Okay, I'll start with coach.
Okay.
So in isiZulu, a woman is referred to as I'm
Oh,
breaking
okay.
it down. Then coach, obviously, excuse me, and then coach is from being a life coach myself.
Mhm.
So there is a manner in which as Africans we respect one another, especially if people value you or they feel like they can kind of learn something from you. It just happens that they start calling you Jabu. And in this case, it was like coach. So it started as a family joke that, okay, Jabu is now a mother that coaches. And then it started in the family, then into the community, then into the workplace that I ended up actually registering Coach as a brand because I felt like people connected more with Coach than they do with Ujab. They do connect with Jabu Msomi, but when you say mom coach, you see people brightening up. And even my daughter, if I may say so, now she refers to me as mom coach jokingly. and the Queen of Queens. So I was actually reflecting earlier this morning as I was preparing for our podcast that I had to go through transformation myself because of what I've mentioned in my growth and in my development and career. That when I was trained to become a life coach and a neuro linguistic programming practitioner, I went through transformation. It was during a period where I was actually doubting myself, and I was actually feeling like I've really tried in life, but what is it that am I doing wrong, so to speak? So, how this came about, after I had done life coaching as a training, there was transformation within me. And I remember it was a very crazy thing. One day at my home, my late husband was there, and my daughter. I just stood up and said, "Oh my goodness, I'm a queen." So it was like an awakening that no, man, I have everything within me to achieve whatever I need to achieve. And then I started referring myself to a queen, posting stuff and say, be the queen that you want to be again. I attracted people that related to that. And I started doing Reclaiming Your Crown sessions and seminars. And wherever I went, if I was doing like public speaking, I would carry my tiara. And it was epic. Then that's how then people will say, okay, you're the queen and we're the queen, so you're the queen of queens. So that's how it came about. And it's actually, till today, it's very heartwarming when you hear that. But not necessarily a queen as in a royal queen.
I like that. That's really cool. So tell me about your purpose retreat. What is that and how does it help people?
Yeah. Again, in life, sometimes not everybody just grow and get to understand what is it that they like and what is it that they can do in life and thrive and be happy. Sadly, I think there's just a small group, if I may say so, of people that just grow up and know exactly what to do. So I realized also that it is important to understand one's purpose in life as a person, because it becomes like this compass and a direction of your life. As much as you cannot just say, okay, now I know what's my purpose, then life is sorted for me. But the point is, purpose retreat, it mostly includes a group of people getting together because they've been maybe working or they've been running businesses, but they're still yearning for something. And so when we do these retreats, we actually help our clients to go inwards and understand their deep values and their original values. What is it that they like in life, and how is it aligned to what they're doing now and what they wish to do in future? And the most amazing thing is usually these workshops, they take about 3 days. On the last day, when the clients go out with the purpose statement, yeah, I'll give an example. My purpose statement is, I want to travel the world to help other people thrive through public speaking, life coaching, and other engagements, just to rephrase it. So when a person walks out of that conference or session or retreat with a purpose statement, usually it's something that they have always been doing, but they just needed some confirmation that, okay, this is exactly what it is, but I just need somebody to nudge me. I need somebody to coach me. Hence, usually out of those retreats, then you get somebody saying, now that I know my purpose and I know my purpose statement, can you then help me channel myself through my purpose?
How often are your retreats?
Okay, so we do two retreats per year. One early in the year around March, and then one later in the year around between September and November. And then in between, we do maybe 1 day sessions, depending on the topic that we want to address or
Mhm.
that we are passionate, or maybe I'd call it a like I'd say like a pain point of a topic. For an example, gender-based violence and femicide is a big thing in our country, if I may say so. So we also make sure that we also address those through maybe online platforms or in-person platforms.
Okay. So how do you balance your schedule as far as all the things you're doing as far as a leader, a coach, a speaker? How do you balance all that and keep your values?
Thank you. It's always a reminder. Work-life integration, which is something I also coach my clients on. It's very important to do what you are passionate about.
Hmm.
And then over and above that, it's very important to be organized and to be able to plan, whether it's your day, your week, or year. So planning is very key. Secondly, as I'm saying that striking the balance, because I like actually when I speak to my clients that you always need to adopt like a holistic approach. You cannot be toiling and not having fun, playing and stuff. For an example, myself, playing is something that I've had to learn because, again, growing up, it's all about running the chores. And so you need to strike the balance. But we need to make sure that in a day, you've actually fed your soul, you fed your mind, and you fed your body. You know, how you do that, obviously, we can break it down in another session or next time. One of the things that also one can actually look into is getting support, because whether you like it or not, for an example, if I'm a coach and speaker and everything, I've got a virtual assistant that helps me with scheduling and inviting and scheduling my sessions and planning the events. Otherwise, I won't be able to do everything, because think about it again, while I'm busy running a session, somebody is inquiring, I might lose a client or so. But also, as we're talking about balancing our life, it's important to take time off, like the between the 12th and 31st of December last year, I went on a holiday. So being intentional is always important. Be intentional about what you're doing, but also make sure that your cup, especially in the space of serving people, helping people, wanting to make a difference, your cup must not dry. And it's one of the lessons that I've learned, and I have actually had to unlearn not to give until my cup is dry. So make sure that you serve yourself first and you give yourself the best, as I would say, as the queen would do. So it's a whole lot of things, which, as I've said, it involves planning, being holistic in your approach, being intentional about what you do, and getting support, different support from different people.
Are there any common patterns that you find when people are struggling to find purpose? Is there something in common with that?
Yes, more, I'd say majority again of the clients that come because they want to find purpose. I would make an example of a group that I work with. It's a group of women in leadership positions. So they've made it, mostly African again. They've made it up the ladder, but there's this issue of like imposter syndrome and feeling like, no, I'm not good enough. But they're making a lot of money and they've earned it and they're doing very well in as far as career is concerned. So that's actually, I'd say, mostly the theme that you see, that these people have actually, some of them have achieved in life, but they just, and you'd find somebody that was like a CEO of a corporate company wanting to venture into opening a bakery. But it's important to actually usher the client into understanding exactly where they are and where they wish to go and how to plan, I would say, the transition.
Okay. Yeah. So what would a first meeting look like with you? What would somebody experience as a first time meeting?
As a prospective client.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So person would reach out, and I prefer to see my first, for an example, consultations. I prefer to do them face to face, because again, as a coach, it's very important to build rapport right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's usually a casual, but again, intentional conversation
Yeah.
that as a coach, you use certain techniques to draw some information, because once again, somebody will come and say, I'm feeling stuck. And then maybe you need to understand where are they feeling stuck and what kind of support they need. Because again, as a coach, you're not a psychologist. So you need to coach somebody on something that they want. But it's usually a conversation over coffee, depending. And then where we have a conversation and I then go home and then draw up a proposal and a report based on our first conversation. I like to connect with my clients, even with my prospective clients, hence face to face and in person really helps, where possible. Building rapport virtually, it's not an easy thing, but I see you and I, we've just met, but we were able to connect, I believe. So it's like that. It takes 45 minutes to an hour as the consultation. And it's open-ended and it's understanding the person's lifestyle and their values. But you don't just say, what is your value? But as we are chatting, how was your day? I like to check in, even with my clients. Once I've actually signed you up as a client, check-in is very important. As you were saying, how was your day? And again, you want to be intentional about that because you want to have a conversation with somebody that is in the present and that is grounded.
Yeah, that's great. All right. I am going to have your information below. So Giant Builders, you can have the connections to meet with Jabu. Any closing thoughts?
Thank you for the session. I've really enjoyed it. And I hope that viewers, if I may say so, or people that will be listening will gain something. And I just want to say that people must always remember that life in general, it doesn't change by chance, but it changes by choice. You have to be intentional about making your life better. That's if you feel like you are stuck and you need to change something. And that challenges will always be there because they are part of our growth. Because if there were no challenges, most of us wouldn't be where we are. I do feel like challenges are actually anchors. If you want to reframe, in NLP, we talk about reframing. You want to reframe when you are faced with a challenge or an adversity and say, okay, there's a lesson that I need to learn here, but also there's growth that needs to come out. Then it helps you to actually focus on growth than focusing on the actual challenge. I'm always available to support through life coaching, NLP coaching, or public speaking if people require my services. And as I said, in general, I am very passionate about people. And it is actually gives me joy to see people thriving and being happy. And as you were asking about my name, Jabulisile in isiZulu means you have made us happy. So it's actually, I take it as a life challenge that wherever I go, I must make a difference, at least to one person a day.
Oh, that is so sweet. I love that. Oh, thank you so much. Giant Builders, we have her information below. Please reach out to her. And especially if you're feeling stuck or just maybe you have a conference coming up that would love to have a beautiful woman like this as a speaker, that would be wonderful too. So, Jabu, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and your great information.
Lisa, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure chatting to you.
All right. Well, Giant Builders, we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.